All right, just some things you're going to need for this job. Obviously, you're going to need your coolant of choice. Engine Ice has never let me down. I've used it for a long time, and I've always thought it to be a premium product choice. I like to use distilled water. I know you can use hose water. I don't think you should run that through the radiator, even if you're filling it right back up. I just think you should use distilled water. It's cheap insurance, in my opinion. You need a small funnel or a flexible funnel so you can fill everything up without spilling it all over the place. Some way to get hoses off, so a hose removal tool, a pick, pliers. Just make sure you don't cut or tear or rip the hose, and then 8mm to get the drain bolt off the water pump, and the two 8mm bolts that hold the external reservoir tank for the overflow.
For fairing removal, yeah, these two guys up here, they're black-headed 4mm Allens. Your chrome or your stainless-headed 4mm Allens here. And then you have these three clips down here, 1, 2, 3. Just insert a screwdriver and twist, you'll get them. And then you have 3 nylon rivet clips up along the turn signal. It's 1, 2, and 3. Alright, water pump. Drain bolt. You gotta be careful here. As soon as you introduce air into the system, this stuff squirts out like crazy, so it's usually not bad when you're taking the drain bolt off. Oh. But once you pop that radiator cap off, it goes crazy. Okay, so yeah. There's no air going through the system right now, but as soon as you go up here to the radiator cap, really starts coming out, so you don't want to make a mess, you want to be aware of that. Alright, and disconnect here. Alright, so this has been rinsed out, the garden hose. Just going to run some compressed air through it. Alright, do some wiping off. Get ready to start putting them all back together. Alright, and we'll reassemble. This guy goes here. Route this over. This hose goes through the cutout in the reservoir tank. Slide that on. This gets clipped. Careful not to pinch your hose. Like so. And your 2 8mm bolts to bolt it back up. And your cap. But I'm going to fill it up here in a moment with distilled water anyway. Alright, so I'm going to put the drain bolt back in. I haven't fit a new crush washer yet. I just want to fill the system with distilled water. And purge all the old green stuff off, but drain bolt's good. Your hose shouldn't have been touched, so you shouldn't have to touch that at all. This line is good, your overflow, and then your reservoir tank is bolted on 2 positions, and then your 2 caps up here, and then your vent line up here for overflow. So we'll hit these. Alright, so the radiator's full of distilled water. I've got some distilled water in the overflow tank. We're just going to start the bike up now, let it go through a heat cycle, and basically get all the old green stuff out.
Alright, I'm not sure how or why this happened, but somewhere between my GoPro and the computer, I lost the file where I purged the system, drained it again, drained the distilled water out, and then filled it with engine ice. But anyway, I'll just bullet and talk it through real quick. So we're here, we're filled with distilled water. You're gonna verify all your hose connections, make sure nothing is leaking, make sure everything's tight, verify all your surfaces are clean and fluid free. That way, if something does start to leak or drip, you can detect it immediately. Make sure all your bolts are tight. Don't over tighten the 2 that hold the tank on. These 2 guys right here, because this is plastic. This little arm is plastic, and I have seen them broken many times when I've accepted a bike, so please be gentle here. You're going to fill to the neck of the radiator, and as you do this, I typically grab the right handlebar grip or the clip-on and just kind of rock the bike back and forth so air is purging out of the radiator. And then you're going to fill the external up to the full line as well. Obviously, put the caps on, start the bike, let it run until the fans turn on, and verify the bike does not overheat, turn it off. This part is very important. You're going to want to finish the job and drain it again and put your coolant in. You must let it cool down, because if you don't, that system's under a lot of pressure and there's a lot of heat in there. If you pull this cap off while it's hot, it's going to be a bad day for you. So please follow this direction and wait until it is completely cooled off. You can put your hand on the cap after a while to see what it feels like. You can also turn the ignition on the bike, and your thermostat should tell you on the gauge what temperature it's at. So that gives you some ballpark figure of how hot it is here. You're going to just follow the same process. You're going to drain the system again. So drain bolt on the water pump, and then I usually just pull this guy off. I don't take the tank off again. Just pull this guy off, let it drain, and then you can run some compressed air through here to blow out the rest. Don't go crazy here, but just enough compressed air to blow out the rest of the fluid through the bottom nipple here. And then same process with whatever coolant you're going to use. So to the neck, and then rock the bike back and forth so you're bleeding the air out of the system, and then to the full line here, and then run the process again with starting the bike and letting it run. And then before you put all this back together, put the fairings back on to cover it up. Make sure that you are full to the neck and you are full to the full line, because it takes a bit to bleed the air out of the cooling system on these bikes. So be patient with this part of the process. Unfortunately, I lost the video of it, but again, it's pretty self-explanatory as to what you need to do here.
So unfortunately with the fairings, it's a lot easier to put them back on typically than to take them off, because when you're taking them off, you feel like you're going to break these clips, whereas when you're putting them back on, you're just snapping them together. But you should connect or disconnect the turn signal connection. I forgot to mention that earlier. So we're just clipped in right now with the turn signal connection, and then this 4mm Allen will hold everything in place while I put these ones on, and then the nylon rivet clips along the inside and the 3 on the bottom, and then this guy right here, and then our frame slider will go back on.